Hey, yo, what's up? Well, Tower Fantasy, compared to Genshin. Uh, well, Genshin's still better, in my opinion. Tower Fantasy has some good points, don't get me wrong, but in terms of polish, story, characters, gameplay, combat, well, Tower Fantasy still
Rain
has a long way
outlines
to
your fate.
go, but I don't want to be overly negative. Well, the Tower Fantasy story sucks, but some positive things about Tower Fantasy,
Time for a light show.
it has a lot of potential, uh, multiplayer wise, so that's that. That's a huge feature. Yeah, the combat is clunky, but and honestly, the combat is clunky with Tower Fantasy, but honestly, I could say that that's a good thing because if the combat is slow and clunky,
Let's light it up. Wind
it
strike.
can work in the favor
Off we
of
go.
balancing
Have
during
it.
PvP. You know, just like Dark Souls. If you're like me, like a fighting gamer, so to me, Dark Souls combat is very clunky, but it somehow balances the game. But having slow and clunky combat can work with games that have with RPG games that have PvP because yeah, well, if that makes sense, it's kind of balanced. If the gameplay is clunky. Uh, well, I think it still needs a lot of polish. It feels like it's like a beta. But if you like if you have have Genshin, if you give Genshin PvP, where with Genshin with this combat that's so very polished, I think there will a lot of be there will lot have a lot there will be a lot of balancing issues if Genshin has PvP. So combat in Genshin is smooth, but it's not gonna be good for PvP. It's going to be PvP, so the combat in Genshin will not be as smooth as it is. Hey Fox. Oh yeah, Frigg was insane. And I think I will be saving for Frigg. So if Genshin has combat, has PvP, with its very smooth combat, things will be like out of hand and imbalanced, in my opinion. So, but at least in Tower, you have like raids, co-op raids, multiplayer raids. You have guilds. But the story in Tower Fantasy is so weird. I don't like it.
Dream work.
It sucks, honestly. But it
Feel my
has
soul.
its own moments.
Witness the power. Time for a light show.
The story dialogues are weird. But you got a lot of cool stuff in Tower Fantasy, not gonna lie. I just unlocked the surfboard stuff there. It was pretty cool. And I also unlocked the motorcycle. That's pretty cool as well. So I think if Tower Fantasy releases on PS5, I think that will be a huge performance boosting. I think that will improve my opinion on Tower Fantasy. But well, if I want really smooth gameplay, I would go for Fantasy Star New Genesis, which is coming out on the PS5 soon. But Tower Fantasy is free to play, you know. I just got and the rates are pretty. Even though the characters are not too broken like in Genshin, I got a SSR, the one with the rings, pretty early. So yeah.
Adventure time.
Genshin, no, it's not. It's not
Dream
really
cutter.
pay to win Genshin. I've
Got it.
this
Fire hazard.
36 stars in Genshin with like Rust. It gave me a Rust. So it's not pay to win. It's just time gated to win. So when you play like over a year and you build hyper focus and you build your characters well, you can be competitive free to play. Well, Genshin is free to play friendly. You just get a Raiden Shogun with the catch, which is already gonna be broken. Meryl, ooh, I want Meryl. So yeah, the combat is slow, but maybe maybe our opinions are like jaded with Tower of Fantasy if we play on the mobile platform because it sucks because our phone sucks, the performance sucks. We'll not be able to enjoy it as much as we want. But if we have like a high spec PC, I think our opinions will change. I think the combat will be a bit smoother. But yeah, well, it is what it is. Not everyone can afford a high spec PC, but hopefully it comes to the console. But at least there's a lot of endgame in Tower of Fantasy compared to Genshin. Even though in terms of quality, Genshin is still far superior. But Tower of Fantasy has endgame, so you have to look at that. Uh, Tower of Fantasy has co-op features and a lot of like
If we've got
cool
nothing else to
features
do.
like relics and like motorcycles, surfboards, and gliders. But I guess for Genshin players, our opinions will still be jaded, biased, and also I think for me, in my opinion, or maybe some players, most players, maybe, or I don't know, maybe just me in general. There's like this burnout from playing Genshin. So the burnout from playing Genshin for 2 years can pass on to playing Tower of Fantasy because it looks and feels the same. So you're going to really can't help but compare it to Genshin. So it feels like you're just playing the same game with the worst combat. Sorry, with the worst story in my opinion. Not the worst combat, but slightly
Wind
less
strike.
better combat. But
Falling
in
leaves.
my opinion,
On my
that's
right.
gonna be good for PvP
Rain outlines your fate. Know my sword.
because people will
Let's
not
light
will
it
not
up.
be zipping around
Time for a light show.
everywhere during PvP. So the clunkiness of the combat in Tower of Fantasy, I think, can help the
Wind strike.
PvP be more grounded. But anyway, don't get your hopes too much with the PvP because it's gonna be pay to win.
Let me weave you a verse.
So at least in Genshin, you're just relaxing and chilling. There's no content, but it is what it is. So better just play other games after you're done with the dailies, and hopefully in 5 years from now we will have endgame content with Genshin. But it's still, honestly, it's still too early to nail the coffin or whatever figure of speech. Still too early to say that Tower Fantasy sucks. In the back of my head, I'm feeling that in the future there might be better characters gonna be releasing. So they're casual. So you should be something to look forward to. I think I think multiplayer content
I'm
is
going in.
The wind
It's
knows.
gonna be a breath of fresh air, you know,
The bird's calling.
Rim
and
cutter.
being
Time for a
able
crack
to
show.
do raids with your friends. And maybe just try some PvP, even though you're gonna get your ass kicked by whales. You know, something different to do.
Everybody stand. Optimistic retreat.
But yeah, just don't get your hopes too high.
Fire hazard.
And even though it has end game, still don't get your hopes too high. Even though it might be a whale end game, so maybe if you're free to play, in my theory, you will just reach like 50 to 100 floors. Unless you're a whale, you can go down 500 floors, something, whatever. That's just my theory, my game theory. Well, it's too early, I guess. So that's my initial impression, but still too early. So I will see what I can say when I reach the end game or reach the higher level. But for me, I'm burnt out with world exploration game that looks like Genshin, just killing some hillagers over again. So um,
Begin.
but maybe I
Let's
will
light
be
it
more
up.
refreshed with the aesthetics of Fantasy Star
Fallen leaves.
New
Adorn my
Genesis.
night.
But for content creators,
Teamwork
playing
is
Genshin
strength.
for content creators,
Feels a slate.
sorry, playing Tower Fantasy for content creators will be good because at least we will have some content to do, and even for normal players, playing Tower Fantasy will be good because there's no content in Genshin. So if I'm not streaming, if I'm not a content creator, I will just log in for 5 minutes and do my daily commissions. Lately, I just let it press and tap. There's no reason to play Genshin, no matter how great the combat is, how smooth
Body
it
and
is,
mind.
no matter how superior
Rain
combat in
outlines
Genshin
your
is. There's
fate.
no reason
Rain cutter.
to keep playing Genshin aside from collecting waifus and husbandos for the foreseeable future
Everybody
because
stand.
Hoyoverse
Time for a light
doesn't
show.
want to give endgame content. So how was the good old Genshin 1.0 compared to now? Well, back in 1.0, I played the starter characters. I enjoyed it a lot. You know, Noelle, Kaya, Traveler, Animal Traveler. I also tried to main Lisa back then or main Sucrose. It was great. You know, I never when 1.0 came, I thought that was the time when I wanted to quit gaming in general, or maybe take a long break. But when Genshin 1.0 came around, and then I saw D-Look, I re-rolled 50 times just to get D-Look. So, and it
Let's light
rekindled
it up.
my love for gaming. You know, the JRPG characters
One with wind and cloud. Wind strike.
Teamwork is
that I love, like
strength.
back in Final Fantasy or the Cloud or Tales of series games. 1.0 was great. Well, if you if you manage to get D-Look in 50 rerolls, 50 reroll accounts, so our experiences with 1.0 can be different depending on which
Time to go.
character we have. But well, I'm so thankful with Genshin. You know, it basically launched my YouTube career. Yay! In my streamer career. Yay! Even though I only get very few views when streaming, but my channel grew a lot with just regards to the normal
Forward to the next
views.
festival.
Before Genshin came out, uh, my subscribers were just like maybe less than 2,000,
Follow
but
the
after
lead.
2 years, I'm almost 12K subscribers now and growing each day. So
Cheer.
Genshin is it's not something to be taken lightly. Well, that's also one of the reasons why I keep playing. It's just my job.
Time to go.
Even if there's no extra content, no end game. But our it's gonna be a good side game. Well, Genshin wants you to play it as a side game, but nowadays I'm so busy, so I can't. If I wanted, well, Tower Fantasy could be your main game because there's gonna be a lot of content to do compared to Genshin, but I'm so busy, so I can just like log into Tower Fantasy an hour a day or maximum 2 hours. So yeah. So at least if you want to keep playing something, Tower Fantasy is there. It's still in the early stages, so yeah, we can't really underestimate Tower Fantasy. Wow, I got it in one go. Ooh, wow.